the future of ERLs, because I know that you know way more than me about that. We are seeing Turkey becoming last year a European regional league, right? We are seeing Riot like investing less money every time in the European regional league system. So how you think that this will develop in the future? Because I don't have a lot of info. I know that you see every single league that's out there. So how are you seeing like the full screen or full image about this?
I think Riot are intending to make the ERL system the main system and have it feed into a Champions League style tournament at the end of the year. That's what I think they want to do. And that's what I think they are likely to be able to do, because it is the safest system, I think, outside of maybe Korea, just because esports is so institutionalized in Korea. That they have. I think it's one of the most secure investments, not in terms of being able to make profit, but I think that many things will collapse before a really popular ERL team does, because of the localization of it. And what I mean by that is, like, Spanish fans will want Spanish teams in League of Legends, right? They just will want that. An example I really like to use is with football. This is a really terrible day to forget the numbers, but I think it was like of the 88 teams that signed up for the Premier League in 2021, I want to say, maybe 2023, only 4 of them don't exist now. And they didn't start majorly turning a profit until 2013. Profit barely matters. A really good example is Derby, that or was it Durham? One of the two. It began with a D. Someone will be able to correct me in the comments. That actually went into administration 4 separate times and was saved each time by, at one point, it was a Durham local who happened to be a millionaire. This is similar to how in China there were loads of billionaire, multimillionaire sons that saved their teams. At one point, it was a large conglomerate of citizens that saved it. These guys wanted to have a local team, right? And they would stick it through thick and thin. So many of the so-called safest banks in existence have risen and fallen in the times that some of the least profitable football teams have just continued to exist. With the ERLs, Riot have tapped into that Riot have capitalized on a system that was tapping into itself there. Because obviously you guys didn't start because Riot mandated you start. You guys started off because the LVP production was allowed to do a Spanish League LEC version because it's just cheaper to offload it to them than it was to do it in-house. And then off that Spanish audience, they made their own tournaments, right? This is pretty much how every ERL began. And eventually Riot started making this the official thing. But that hunger for local elements is going to survive everything. It will survive every single economic collapse. It will survive crypto, thank God. It will survive any of these big downturns that we have. And we are also uniquely fit to survive any kind of environmental catastrophe like COVID or anything like this that would shut down most of the sporting events, because we can move everything online. So I do think the end game for Riot is that they want the ERLs to be the main thing, to be the tier 1. And that's not just based on all that. It's also based on the fact that they actually did try to do that with their first round of franchising. They actually did. There was a proposal going around, and they actually turned off a lot of the football teams they thought would be turned on by this, to have the ERLs be the major system. But they had no proof of the numbers. Now they do. Now there is proof of the numbers. The system's working really, really well, viewership-wise. You mentioned TCL. I do like TCLs being added, but they are under some financial strain right now because obviously they were a world's region. Now they're not. No one really likes it. They can't trust Riot in that regard. Arabian League for me is a big one. Not because of the potential money flow from Saudi Arabia, but the actual skill level of the upper Arabian League teams is actually really good. GK last year, there's an argument to be made that they were a top 4, top 5 team at that tournament and just had a really unlucky set of opponents in play-ins who would never really be tested the same way again until they themselves reach top 4. And right now, there's a lot of early game stuff that I only see being done in Arabian League out of all the minor leagues, and can contest some of the lower teams in the major leagues as well.
Why do you think that top laners love that much, Melzhet? Because I don't know if you know it, but Oscar,
I don't actually.
He just said that for him, from his perspective, Oscar, the top laner of Fnatic right now, he said that Melzhet is the person that knows more about the game in Europe. Also, Mirwin said at January, I think, January or February, that he learned with Melzhet like an incredible amount of things about the game in a pretty short period of time, which surprised him. So that you think that maybe we talked about how Melzhet approaches the jungler, but it also impacts a lot in top lane.
Yes.
Why do you think that top laners love him that much?
But I love this interaction. So like I think roles that are analyzed the worst in Europe is jungle and top. And top, because whenever there's something that happens top that should be attributed to jungle, it just keeps being attributed to top, and also vice versa in some instances. It doesn't surprise me top laners would like, I'd never heard of that before, but it doesn't surprise me top laners like Melzhet, because this slow push top thing seems to be the first thing that team knew to be a fact, knew to be a good thing. Imagine being a top laner going in any of these other teams where top lane is just like, oh, we are the weak side or we strong side, and that's basically as far as their strategic initiative goes. Top lane is inherently a very punishing lane, right? If you're on a bad wave there, you don't have a support who can give his HP to fix it, or an ADC who can give his HP to fix it, depending on how useless your support is. You don't have any of these kinds of mechanics. If you're forced to be weak siding and you're on a bad lane and your jungler doesn't understand the timings and yet support doesn't understand none of this, it's over. The game is over. To have a coach like Melzhet, where there's a very clear set timing on plays around your lane, no matter what, they must have loved it. Especially Oscarinin. Because I do have to say, the first half of Oscarinin being there, or the first half of Oscarinin's first split, they only played around bot. They did only play around super, right? And then after they got annihilated enough, they did start slowly working around top. I remember they would only do it when he played Gangplank first. Like, I'm very sure if you go watch the VODs, it's top to bot unless it's Gangplank. And then it slowly shifts. Like, we added Lucian. I think we added Fiora. Eventually, they tried to play loads of games around top because they realized only playing around bot, people have kind of figured out that's all we do now. We should learn to play around top. So this guy went from never being played around and yet still considering that slow push top because of these timings to now we're going to play around Oscarinin for ages because clearly we're going to get annihilated if we don't do it. Until they were a complete map team with Oscarinin as well. And I can't imagine getting that treatment on any other team, where most teams just don't consider top lane at all.
The other narrative that is like pretty split between was what English speakers were thinking and Spanish people was of course the F tier tweets, the looks like okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because Spanish, you know why Spanish community reacted so bad to that? Because we came from I would put all this list of AD carries before Flakked. So
yes,
Spanish community.
That was so funny, by the way. There's lore to that.
So tell me.
There was a list on my Discord made by my Discord fans that was basically, why don't we have any of these AD carries for Flakked? And Richard was on my Discord. He took that list, heavily modified the list, by the way, and then posted it on his Twitter account.
Oh,
and when I saw he
didn't
did
know about that.
But he'd added really weird names as well. And then when he did that, it was like, wow, okay, there's a reason that I'm not tweeting this as well, by the way. But like, for example, Super was actually on the original list because I always viewed Super as the superior AD carry in Spain.
But he put it out, right?
I don't think he put it on his list. Yeah,
I think he was not in the list. Yeah,
I mean, his list was heavily modified, but it was basically from a concept that was happening on my Discord. I didn't set up that concept. I never tweeted anything like that. There were a couple of AD carries in Spain I definitely would have taken first before Flakked moved up. But the obviously with the fact that he joined G2, had all that space to develop and ended up doing really, really well. Obviously, I can see you guys memeing on that. On the F tier stuff for Mad, it's very simple. None of these guys watched the ERLs. When they did watch any vague games of the ERLs, It would maybe have just been the finals, and I guarantee you, all that they were thinking about was when Super didn't level up his Zeri ult, and that was it for them. And then there's just this weird notion that, like, because you're like the ERLs and the LEC are different. Like, I hear that so much, right? Like, it's not the ERLs. Like, when people were saying, like, well, this is a very common one. People are trying to point out that when K-Corp had Shinkworth, they actually beat this lineup, right? But they would phrase it as like they beat Movistar Riders when they had Shinkworth. They're clear there was something with that system, and you just get people saying, "But it's not. This isn't the ERLs. It's the same team. It's right there." There's like such a mental disconnect, you know, that these guys have, where they think there's such a higher level in the LEC than the ERLs. It's just not true. If relegation promotion was still here, you'd have the exact same results we had beforehand.
Actually, I don't know if you know it, but almost everyone in MATCOI rosters, what they said at January was that they didn't show like a great jump of level between.
They isn't.
They were like, they are kind of better, but not that much. So that was what they were thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily catch up and play towards that level. Many teams. We've gone over that and leapfrogged them before. The thing that matters is, are these guys starting from square one? Because I think with this lineup, the differential. So I thought it would come top 4. I didn't expect it to beat Fnatic. Did beat Fnatic. I did expect it to beat BDS. The big thing is that everyone just saw it's a rookie lineup, and then they were like, it's as if you just put 5 random rookies on a new team. And you kind of would expect a team like that to get absolutely fisted, right? You would expect all new rookies who'd never met each other before to go get fisted.
Because
like
something that in your community was like a big idea was that he was like Elyoya's friend, right?
Yes.
But who chooses the players was Melzhet. I don't know if you knew that.
Kind of. Well, that's not even true, because like Galzin, the owner of Mad Lions, did actually explicitly say that the sequence of events was Elyoya recommended Melzhet. eBay trusted Elyoya, blah blah blah.
But after I mean, it's Elyoya, then Melzhet. And at least what they said to Spanish community was that Melzhet then chooses the players after Elyoya recommend him.
Yeah, Elyoya also wanted to play as Super and was very explicit about that in interviews.
So
they aren't wrong about this. It is, and when Elyoya is recommending Melzhet, let's be honest, right? Like he is also recommending Fresco and Alvaro. Like he is just doing that.
Yeah, we were talking about the full core of Melzhet, Supa, Frescowi, and we have a few doubts about Alvaro, who's actually Alvaro in Spanish, that we didn't know if he would do it to LEC.
So this is... Wait, what do you mean by do it to LEC? As if Alvaro would go up?
No, I mean, we didn't know if they were picking like the full core or just Melzhet, Frescowi, and Supa. And we're talking in November with the leagues thing and all that stuff. We knew that Alvaro had a lot of offers in LEC, but we didn't know if
you didn't know if Alvaro would choose to stick with.
That
would have been really stupid on his part if he didn't choose to stick with this. But I also know that Super loves Alvaro.
It wasn't exactly like that, but my English is not letting me explain you better, so we'll
it's keep
to that.
Like I'll just continue with the diatribe. Like speaking honestly, Elyoya was literally saying, "I want these 4 players," right? Because there was never the only guy he didn't technically bring up, it was Marin, but. For all intents and purposes, the English speaking community is correct about terming it as Elyoya and his friends, because that is how the lineup was formed, right? Speaking honestly here.
The
problem is Elyoya and his friends.
Someone told me that in Superliga, Melzhet wanted to play with Mirwin in top. But then he ended
I can think of a good reason why he might want to have done that as well.
Yeah, but Mirwin was in his mind even after the LEC thing. Yeah,
I will... Okay, I'll come back and address that later on the diatribe. So it is Elyoya and his friends, but Elyoya and his friends have been aligned on how to play League of Legends and have been somewhat developing concurrently because of his conversations with Melzhet since 2021.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing the English-speaking community didn't seem to value, which is extremely worrying, right? For some reason, the fact that you are continuously learning and developing together for like 3 straight years doesn't demonstrably change you from a lineup that just got put together a couple of weeks ago that is all rookies, right? Like that's insane to me. How I've started to put it on my stream is that it's like saying that a couple in a 4-year-long relationship, right, are at the same place in that relationship as you and this really hot, beautiful girl who knows everything about you in bed for the last 3 weeks. And it's like, there are so many parts you're missing. Maybe this one part is working really well for you for now, but everything else you develop by growing with each other is important. And if I want to find a lineup that's going to, or a relationship that's going to work out really well and bet on it, I'm obviously going to bet on the relationship that's been going on for 3 years rather than the one that's been going on for a couple of weeks that just happened to be really lustful right now, right? And bringing teams together is like having a relationship. These guys have gone through so many different problems. This is part of why I made the prediction I did, that they'd start really well, have a worse spring, and then go to Worlds in summer, right? That was the big set of predictions that I made, that I uploaded to Twitter so everyone can call me out, and if it doesn't go that way, it's going that way. Coming in as a lineup that's been going on for years, there's not going to be a synergy problem behind the scenes. These aren't the first times they had conversations. These aren't the first times they've had problems. They know all the problems they're going to face. They know how to get around all of those problems. The devil you know is always better than the devil that you don't. They know all of the devils coming in. They can just hit the ground running with their development, while your new team, or where you ripped away the core and added bow and upset or something like this, they don't know how they interact with each other. They're going to spend weeks just trying to figure out how to talk to each other properly. Like, unironically, they'll spend weeks trying to figure out how to fucking talk to each other properly. And for those weeks, these guys have been going, do you notice G2 do like this when they try to set up a play on one side? They try to play through both sides at the same time. Maybe we should try that. And they've been doing that for weeks, you know? Like, of course you should bet on that team, but that gets discounted, and I don't know why. The Marin thing is a very separate thing. But like what I noticed with 2022 G2 Arctic is that the reason they were much less effective in 2021 is because Color, and I do remember that conversation, Melzhet, if you're watching this, Color actually just doesn't win lane as hard as his as the previous top laner Oscarinin would do on his picks, right? And because of this, that slow push top lane thing I talked about, which was the first thing that this lineup was really, really good at using, even though we talk about it as a Fresco super lineup, the first thing they were good at using, they never actually had that for their Herald plays. So you saw so many more Drake plays from them, or so many more bot plays, because Color wasn't as good as the other top laners that he has had. And then you tell me he wanted Marin, a guy who goes for counterpick range top laners all the time. That's perfect for this system. Of course he's going to look at a guy like that and think, let's get this guy in, all right? I want slow pushes at 4 minutes every goddamn game. Let's play for Herald, all right? Like, of course, that makes so much sense to me that he would love that guy.